right, I have Jake the Gorilla Pilla on the show now. Is coming off a big win at Combat FC2, needing just 25 seconds to choke out Josh Krejci. Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. And I was cage side watching your fight, and I just want to first start with the energy and the amount of tickets that you sold in that arena. I felt like you were fighting in your backyard, for crying out loud. There were so many people there. How many tickets did you actually sell?
I sold upwards of 300. I think maybe a couple more, but I think 300 was like the number.
Does that add extra pressure for you? I mean, the whole place was there to see you fight, so you had to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good kind of pressure though, like at first when I first started my career and I had like all these people coming, it was definitely like nerve-wracking and it was stressful. You're like, oh, I gotta do so well and I gotta compete. Now I enjoy it. I enjoy having, like so many people that I love and care about and that support me like there. Now they just fuel me. Now like seeing them and seeing people walk in, like the first hour that I'm there, I don't sit in the back. I like to be like walking around and seeing the people I care about. Like, it just kind of fuels me for the night. So hearing that crowd when I walked through, man, it was pretty awesome.
What was it like to compete for Combat FC? Obviously, this is a big time promotion on UFC Fight Pass. What did that mean to you to have this your second pro fight on such a big stage? Really,
it was a huge opportunity, man. I was like super grateful to get out there. I really enjoyed the way they took care of the fighters. They were super professional. Like Joe's an awesome guy. I can't say I've known him that long, but I've known who he was. And being able to work with him just for this one fight was awesome. I'm very blessed to have come from Combat Zone. And Combat Zone, I speak more than highly of Cal and the guys over there. I love them. They're still, a family to me. But it was a blessing to feel like I was a part of a family somewhere else. We align very, very closely with the way we are and kind of things we believe in. And so instantly I felt at home over there. The guys were awesome. They took care of us the whole time. So it was fun. It was so fun.
Can your fans expect to see you back for Combat FC? What do you think that the future is going to hold?
Entirely, right? And so I definitely will be coming back for Combat FC. We're already starting to talk some of the work for February. So we'll kind of see. Obviously, that needs to play out. We're kind of talking with coaches and stuff. Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed working with them. I thought they were nothing but awesome to me and to my family, to all my people. So I definitely will be back in that room. I look forward to it.
Okay. And I know, I'm sure all of the people that were there in the building just last weekend, they're going to be looking forward to it as well. Let's talk about just going into this fight against Josh, what your game plan was, what you knew about him. I know he just had a big win for BKFC fairly recently. So what was your mindset going into this fight?
The way I looked at Josh was he's a striker. He had that big win for BKFC. I will say that in his fights, I have seen on numerous occasions him go to the ground and, him kind of pressure guys to the fence and, play a pretty decent jiu-jitsu game. So I was definitely curious as to where he was going to take it, but I thought we were going to stand up and exchange for quite some time. And so right off the bat, he threw, a calf kick, and I just kind of felt like I needed to gain some respect from him so that he knew that, like, hey, we're going to fight, but I want you to know I'm here, And if the room didn't let him know, I wanted to make sure he heard it loud and clear. And so, I threw those 2 leg kicks, and from there, we just started pushing pace. I didn't really expect him to shoot on me the way he did. Obviously, I caught him. I don't know if it was the jab or the cross, but I touched him and he hit the ground. And I started kind of swarming him, and so that's when he took that shot. And so, I understand why he turned to wrestling in the moment, but I wasn't expecting that until much, much later in the fight.
When you sunk that choke in, did you know it was over at that point?
Yeah, that's around my school we call that Jacotine. That's like my favorite, man. If it's got a neck, I can guillotine it. And so as soon as I locked that in, hey, Josh is a very game opponent. He's very tough, and I'm not trying to take anything from him, but I put hundreds of thousands of hours into jiu-jitsu and on the mats. And as soon as that was in, I had none but confidence that fight was over.
How'd you celebrate afterwards?
I hung out with my family and friends, man. I ended up going out to Trend in downtown Lowell. I had my mom there, my dad there, my fam there. It was pretty awesome, a couple drinks, good food, spending time with the people I love, and then I continued it all weekend. I'm at a pumpkin carving thing with my family the next day. I'm right back to business on Sunday, back in the gym training guys, so It was nice. It was a nice
Life,
couple hours.
yeah, life is good for you, man. You also got the Sweet Heel CBD
Yeah.
Performance of the Night that actually gives you a 12-month product sponsorship. That's pretty cool. I mean,
Oh, I'm so excited.
yeah. Is this a product that you typically would use?
Yeah, I'm a huge CBD guy. I swear by it. I preach it to everybody. I'm one of those MMA guys who is always trying to tell you or sell you the next best CBD. Well, I definitely feel like I'm one of them. And so to have a company that's local and that's at the fights, that's excited to kind of be a part of it, want to get behind me and be behind me for the next year, like that's huge. Not only am I guaranteed going to be using their products, but I'm also going to be pushing their products. They
No
gave us
doubt.
goodie bags. They took care of us. It was awesome.
Yeah, very cool. That's a nice feather in your cap, going
Yeah.
in there, getting the best performance of the night here at Combat FC too. Now, tell me a little bit, about your day to day. I mean, how often do you get to train? Do you have a full time job? What is that balance like?
Um, I'm running the circus over here, right? So I'm playing quite the juggling act, and so I'm self-employed. I own a jiu-jitsu school or an MMA school in Tewksbury, so I'm there pretty much every night. And then I also own a small demolition company, and I also manage a small team for a solar company. So I kind of got a hand, yeah, in multiple different things. But what's nice is because that I'm kind of in charge wherever I'm working at this point. When I have a fight or when I'm looking to fight, I don't mind putting things on the wayside because as long as I'm surviving,
Mm.
my only goal is to fight and train. And so, I've taken huge 6-month jobs for demo and stuff like that, where I got 10 guys working and they're moving all the time. And like now when I booked this fight, I told all my guys, hey, we're going to be slow the next couple of months. Like this is kind of where we're at, and so it's nice to be able to, I get to play it back and forth. Like this week I'm doing a little bit of work. I got a roofing job upstairs. I got guys on. I'm staying busy, but honestly, with the way things are going, I think after this job, I'm probably going to be slowing down a lot of the work that I do and just focusing more on training. My school is starting to take off. We have, an amazing program with some great students. I do say very proudly, I have the best guys in the room, and they come in, they want to learn, they're eager, they have so much fun. And it's a blast being in there and coaching them. And so I'm 2 years strong right now. Over the next couple of months, I'd like to almost quadruple my size and just continue to grow and kind of keep my focus where it is.
That's fantastic. And your pro career is off to a great start. 2-0 now. It sounds like listening to you talk that your goal is to take this MMA thing as far as humanly possible, right? Like tell me
Yeah.
when you envision your future as a mixed martial artist, what do you see over the next couple of years?
I don't think that there's any reason that I shouldn't be fighting on a big stage with some of the best guys in the world. And so I understand the position I'm in now doesn't show that fully, but I think over the next couple of years, I'm just going to continue to kind of show and prove that. And I want to be on that stage. Max Holloway said it once and it really changed the way I thought. He said, I don't need to be the greatest of all times. He goes, I just want my name up there. I want to be the one that's competing with them and running. Put me in the mix. And I really like that because I think trying to, thinking about being the greatest of all time, are you the greatest if you're John Jones? You're the greatest if you're Anderson Silva? Like, the argument will never go away. But no one's going to argue that their names are both up there,
Right.
And so that's kind of where I want to be. I just want to leave my name somewhere promising in the world of martial arts and show all the work that I've put in.
Okay, and I was looking at your record on Tapology, and as an amateur, you lost twice to the same guy, Danny Abed. Does that eat at you, man? Like, I have to imagine maybe it does a little bit, but I don't know. You probably leaps in so much better than you are now versus then.
Yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago now, but the thing about me is I'm not somebody who fights out of hatred or like, out of anger or like one of those guys. I'm super relaxed, super calm and kind of happy. And Danny Bod's a good kid. I know him. He was wishing me luck before this last fight. Like he beat me on those days, and he was a better man. And yeah, it'll always, with the competitive edge, it's always going to bite me a little bit. But, obviously there's no hard feelings or no disrespect between us. Like it's not something I think about now. That at that point in my career was so long ago. I mean, we're looking at what, 6 years, 7 years ago. I'm an entirely different fighter at this point. At that point I was probably a blue purple belt. Like I remember right where I was for some of those fights. And so it's one of those things. I was going up against a kid who was a real game opponent, really tough, training out of one of the best schools in the world. He was training out of Jackson Wink with guys like John Jones and Holly Holm, kind of in the height of their biggest peak. And so, Does it suck that I took those losses? Yes. It'll always suck. I don't think anybody feels good after a loss, but I can hold my head up that I went in there and I still fought it out. And afterwards, I didn't just lay down with the losses. Obviously, I've continued to grow and improve and change things and try to be better.
I have to imagine if you were to ever face him again in the future, you feel pretty confident that you would get the win now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'd have a lot of fun. I'm always confident in my abilities, but I know at any fight, anything can happen. And so it's one of those things that I think me and him, I think we'd both be laughing on our way there.
Okay.
So,
Good enough. Well, tell me, man, like what is the walk around weight for you? What is that weight cut for you to get down to your fighting weight? Is it easy or do you need like a longer camp?
I enjoy having 6 weeks. I think 6 weeks for me makes me feel pretty comfortable. This last one being at 140 rather than 135 definitely made things a lot easier. But at the same time, I mean, fighting isn't in the game of making things easy. So the cut is definitely difficult, but it's just a lot of discipline, and I'm totally comfortable with that. As long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to, the weight comes off and I get down there. I'm not somebody too who likes to do the salt baths and the saunas a ton, and I try to save that, kind of till the very end if I even need it. And so, like this last fight, I don't think I spent more than 45 minutes at all in the sauna, and everything else was just jogging, sweat runs, jumping rope, like hitting pads, just very, very natural. And so it's a lot. I'd say my walk around weight, I would say is about 160, 155 to 158, a little heavy after the weekend. I'm 160, 62. If I'm like completely out of camp, I had a couple injuries where I couldn't train to the extent of what I wanted to. I fractured my collarbone earlier this year. I've torn my knee apart. I've definitely kind of had my injuries at those points in my life. I was a little bit higher. I was probably like 175. Whereas I'm still in shape. I'm still active. But I'm not nearly as low as I should be. But I like right now, since the fight, I think I'm back up to like 154. So I didn't jump up a bunch. I'm still staying right in shape, kind of right where I was.
As your career continues to progress, let's say a couple of years from now, you're getting a UFC call. Would you ever consider, is it even possible that you could make the cut down to 25, or is that not something that you'd even think about?
At this point, I don't really think about that. I'm going to be honest. I think I'm fairly large for a 35er, muscle wise. And so 25, I think that would take me a couple months with, kind of like the Jose Aldo, when all of a sudden he had a nutritionalist and like everything was really, really dialed in and he could make it. I think if I went about it that route and I got a nutritionalist and we watched and we counted and we really made it an exact science, I might be able to make 25, but it's a stretch. It's definitely a stretch.
Okay, fair enough.
35 is where I'm comfortable. 35 is where I think I'm going to be staying for a long time.
Okay, I don't blame you. I had to ask. Well, you already said, you're in discussions to potentially fight for Combat FC for their February card. Is there any chance that you're going to be jumping in there on a short notice fight before then, or do you feel like you're going to take a little time off and wait until early 2023?
I'm not opposed. I'm going to be honest. I've given it a lot of thought. Obviously we're less than a week from the last event, and so it's kind of settled at this point. And I'm not opposed to trying to turn around and take something a little bit quicker. Obviously, the holidays are coming up, which always makes it a little bit hard. But I fought for Combat Zone. I know they have a card coming up. I'll probably be, with some sort of conversation about maybe who they have fighting and should I make weight just as a backup and not tell anybody, just to, you know what I mean, kind of a thing, and just kind of see where that puts us. I'm not opposed. I'm in shape. I want to keep the momentum going, so I would definitely be willing to take something if the numbers made sense, if it lined up the right way.
Okay, good enough, man. Well, Jake, after your last performance, man, I'm a fan. I can't wait to see you back in there whenever that may be. So before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. Please tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anything you want to plug, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
Gotcha. I always like to shout out my family. Without them, I wouldn't be here. If anybody's looking for me, they're going to find me on social media. It should just be Jake Pilla. If we go on Instagram, it's Jake the Gorilla. The gym is under Gorilla Crew Fitness. Other than that, man, I hope everybody's coming out for the next one because we're going to have some more fun coming very, very soon.